1040 Now is a tax software that has done very little to update its appearances. If you have been using 1040 Now for a while, then you should probably look elsewhere for better tax software experience. We're going to tell you why 1040 Now is not a good idea to file your taxes in 2020. Hey guys, welcome back to The College Investor, investing in personal finance for millennials. Today we are going to be unpacking 1040 Now. I have to say, 1040 Now is probably the worst looking website that I have seen for tax software out there. Looks like it hasn't been updated since the early 2000s. So if that gives you any reassurance that you're going to have a good tax software experience, I'm thinking it won't. So the pricing structure actually puts 1040 Now into mid-tier pricing. It's $19.95 to file your federal return and then an additional $17.95 to file your state return. Also, the online tech support is included in that option, which I sure hope so, because once we get into it, you'll see what I mean. Actually, let's go ahead and jump into the software and I'll show you how it works.
Okay, we are going to enter into the 1040 Now website, and as you can see from the homepage, this website has not been updated, it looks like, since the 2000s. This is ghastly to look at. So you can see that preparation in e-filing is $19.95 for a federal return, and then over here it says the state returns are $17.95. So altogether, you're looking at about $40 to just do a simple federal and state tax return with 1040 Now. And I'm very concerned just by looking at the website what this is going to look like on the inside of the dashboard. But nevertheless, we're going to start our tax return. All right, we're going to start a new account. All right, I'm going to type in a username, password, select some security questions, and then I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, now that I'm in, here's some general instructions. Clearly, I think this was made in HTML. I'm not sure when this website was actually updated, but let's go through the instructions here real quick. Okay, and just quickly reviewing the instructions here, it says anytime you enter cents into your amount, they'll be rounded to the nearest dollar. There's a first step information of 6 main tax preparation steps displayed in sequence as direct links. So I guess that's what we'll be doing. And then it also says the system will automatically generate the correct forms for various things. I'm going to try to file a simple dummy W-2 and see how easy that is. Typically, that is the easiest tax filing situation. So we'll see how that happens inside of 1040 Now. All right, so it's asking for just our basic taxpayer information, and I'll go ahead and fill that out. Now that I've put in my personal information, which of course is all dummy information, there is a information summary page that shows me what I've filled out so far. So I guess that's nice. We'll go ahead and move on to the next step. Okay, I'm going to add my own W-2. So I'll click Your New Copy, Add New Entry. Okay, looks like I have to manually enter in the W-2. It doesn't look like there's an option to import or take a photo of your W-2, which is a bummer because that saves you time and it saves any room for error if you type in something wrong. I'll go ahead and type in some stuff and see what happens. Okay, so my W-2 has been filled out. It looks like in terms of getting customer support, I can click on this option, and then it looks like I have to email somebody. Limited support on the weekend. Thank you for your patience. And most likely, a lot of us are going to be filing our taxes on the weekend, so that's not very helpful. Let's see if they have, yes, FAQ. Okay, so the FAQ just opened up an entirely new tab. It looks like there's some information here, but I don't really like how this is set up. This knowledge base is really just a laundry list of some general questions. And then look at the tax preparation section. Not a whole lot going on there. Let's go back to the dashboard. Click next. Okay, so if you have a 1099 interest form, you could file and upload a new copy. And by upload, what they really mean is just to add all of this in manually again. So let's see if I do that. As I'm scrolling through these steps, it looks like I'm literally going through every single tax form that might be available to me, even if I don't have that form. Look at this. Income ordinary dividend adjustments. No, next step. And so it looks like you're just going to have to click on this next button a million times before you actually get to the end of this, which I don't like. I also don't like how I can't see my potential refund. That's nowhere on this dashboard either. And if any of these things you don't understand, they're telling us to contact IRS for more information, which isn't helpful. In fact, if you are not an experienced tax filer, I'd say this is really confusing, and I'd feel a little uneasy about filing my taxes with 1040 now. Okay, I'm just going to keep going through okay, now we've gotten to the summary page for the income portion. But keep in mind, I had to go through all of these different things before I got to the end. So, I mean, it could be good if you want to make sure you're not missing anything, but a lot of these forms you probably don't need to fill out if you're doing something easy like a W-2. Okay, now we're going into the deductions and payments. Then it looks like other tax and credits, miscellaneous stuff, then filing, then on to your state. Okay, so here are the deductions and payments portion. I took the standard deduction for a single person, $12,200. If any of these things you skipped through and then you want to add, it looks like, let's say if you had student loan interest that you paid on, let's go back through there. Okay, so if you had a 1098E, which is the student loan interest form, you could go ahead and update that with what you received in the mail. So let's say it was $400 paid in interest. And then you have to go all the way back through these other. Okay, luckily student loan interest deduction was towards the bottom, but it looks like you have to continue going through all of these different forms just to get to this summary page. So that's annoying. But it does update here on the summary page what we entered for student loan interest deduction. Okay, now we've gotten to the credit and tax summary. I do like how we can see a list and then go back. I just don't like how you have to go through every single form and keep clicking next step. Okay, now we are on to the miscellaneous topics. And so if you have any of these, it looks like we can just click on one of them and then add that form. I'm going to go back because I don't have that form, but I guess that's how easy it would be if you had any of these miscellaneous things to just click on it and then add that particular form. I'm going to click next step. Now we've gotten to the refund portion. This is the number I was waiting for because this would have been told to me up front by other tax software, and now I'm just seeing it right here at the end. I do like having it somewhere as I'm going through my tax return and seeing that number adjust up and down, but it's all right here. So I'm going to click next. Refund check by mail, sure. Okay, and then it's going to ask for that 5-digit self-select PIN. Sometimes this is done with whatever you selected for last year. And if you don't have this PIN, then it looks like you're going to have to contact the IRS, which just sounds like a whole other rabbit hole to get into. But this is what you're going to need, it looks like, in order to file your return or put in your 2018 adjusted gross income. Let's see if I can skip this for now and then go to my state return. Yes, I think I can. Okay, now it looks like I can go through my state return form. Let's see. It's pre-filled some of my information that I already put in here, which is nice, so I don't have to do this again. If any of these state forms apply to you, you can fill them out. Otherwise, click next step. And then it looks like they just took the W-2 and then filled it out for my state form. So all of that is entered in here. Looks like there's a refund of $396. And then you can do the same steps, direct deposit or have a check mailed to you, and then setting that up. All in all, I'm not a fan of this platform at all. It doesn't seem very helpful, and the user guide and FAQ doesn't really provide a whole bunch of information. It doesn't seem like it's standing up against any other tax software that we've reviewed thus far.
1040 Now was just not fun to use at all. In fact, it has the worst navigation out of the tax software that we've reviewed. For its pricing, you could do better with something like TaxSlayer or Free Tax USA, and even Credit Karma, which recently came out with an updated version of their tax software, completely free, and is so much easier to file your federal and state returns inside of Credit Karma versus 1040 Now. I just can't think of any kind of case that would justify you using 1040 Now. So in order to file your taxes in 2020, I would just avoid this one altogether. For more tax software reviews, be sure to visit thecollegeinvestor.com.